So I didn't eat any fruit.
Why not?
Because I only have one apple left, and I want to save it until after my run later.
Yeah, but you got almonds over there.
Exactly. These are my substitute for the fruit.
Almonds are cool. I like me some almonds.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the P-Funk and Fro Show. My name is Austin Flume, and with me...
And Anthony Gorman. I always, pause there. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's because, I don't know. Anything could happen.
Exactly. I'm like, what else is he going to say?
Yeah, I could say, with me is the one and only Anthony Gorman.
Well, see, you used to say it, so I'm like...
Yeah, now it's like, yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm not the one and only anymore. I'm just like me. That's fine.
I didn't want to get, all... I don't know.
No, I don't need that. It's fun.
Okay, well, anyway, Anthony's back, obviously. Woo. He made it back from his West Coast trip, which is very exciting because a lot of people at work especially were worried about you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and they were talking during the meeting today, a lot of people were really concerned for your health.
Well, I mean, once I got the bike, I can kind of see that because, so everybody kind of knew I was meeting up with that guy. Yeah,
well, that was the main thing they were nervous about because,
okay, yeah.
You were at work telling people this story. Okay. We'll get into that. But anyway, Anthony's back. Yeah, we'll tell the story in a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Just got back from his West Coast trip. First, if you're not already, we've got a Facebook group that you can join. It's facebook.com/group/pfunkandfro. We post the episodes in there every week, and sometimes we solicit topics. And I had a poll once, which was actually really helpful because it's it helped me decide whether or not to have a special guest or not when you were gone, or just podcast by myself, which would have been very challenging.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you guys voted to have a special guest because that ended up being very good.
Yeah, sounds like it.
If you didn't watch that or listen to that podcast from last week, we had Dave Thomas on, a guy that we work with. He was fantastic. Spit some mad advice. Having mic problems over there, Anthony?
Yeah, just want it closer.
So you should definitely listen to that episode. Other than that, you may not see, in fact, you will not see a video version of this podcast because we've decided to go back to audio only.
Yep.
After deep consideration and talking amongst ourselves, we decided that the juice was just not worth the squeeze.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And oh my goodness, I'm so
especially for you and your editing.
Dude.
Yeah.
And I can put my futon back to where it was and not leave it on the side of my room anymore.
Yeah, because it's a real ragtag operation.
It was, yeah.
But
we're still working out of my basement.
Yeah, well, that's all. I mean, yeah.
Until we get our own studio.
Rock bands start in garages. We start in basements.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get right into the fat of things. We're gonna cut right into the fat of the steak, Anthony.
That sounds good to me. That sounds delicious.
I'm very interested to hear about your West Coast trip. So, you told me about it some last week on the phone, and a little bit today at work.
Okay,
but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you haven't touched on yet, and a lot of stuff that maybe you're still kind of. You told me you're still processing it a little bit.
Yeah. So, man, I was really bummed out when I left. When
left California.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start at the very end of it for some reason.
Okay,
when I left my last Airbnb to go to San Jose to fly out, I was super bummed when I had to put up the back seats because the bike wasn't there anymore. Because that's how attached I got to it. So, but I quickly thought I'm so down because I had such a good time, and I was trying to think of it the positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, the bike. Did I mention that I was meeting up with someone on Reddit last?
You brought up the bike, but I think we should spell out the story again for people that might not know.
So I posted on Seattle's Seattle subreddit on reddit.com, and it's basically a subforum all about what?
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say .com after Reddit before.
Oh yeah,
this is kind of
some
funny
people
to hear.
might not know what Reddit is.
I got you, yeah.
And so it's basically a sub-forum just all about regarding Seattle topics, and a lot of locals go on sub-city Reddits. So you can go to Cincinnati subreddit and things like that.
Yeah, so if you're going to a new place, you got people to talk to that live there.
Right, and you can kind of get the vibe and the beat on the street and stuff like that. So totally. I wanted to get a bike for $100 or less, and I wasn't really getting anything good on Craigslist.
Which is a challenge.
It was challenging because I only had 3 days, and I was doing it a week out. So it's kind of weird. So people would probably see the email and be like, well, I ain't waiting a week, you know, or I'm not even... Anyways, so I decided to post on the Seattle subreddit, and a lot of people gave me a lot of phone numbers to a lot of bike shops and things like that. And I called around, nothing for $100 or less, just like $200-$300, and I didn't really want to spend $200-$300 for something for 12 days.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So I was responding to everybody, and I was thanking them and everything like that. And this guy out of nowhere private messaged me and said, "You can have one of my bikes for free. I'll throw in a helmet." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
What are the odds of that happening?
I know. Well, I've seen it on Reddit before, like just kindness of strangers, helping other people out, whether that be donating money or just helping someone out with anything.
Yeah.
But I never thought it would like something this awesome would happen to me.
Dude, yeah, it's insane.
And so we went back and forth and we exchanged like phone numbers, and I'm sure he looked at my post history and I looked at his post history to make sure we weren't like creepers.
Yeah.
And
or sketchy in any way.
Yeah, because I mean, you can go back a half year before I even planned the trip.
Yeah.
See what I was writing about, see who I am.
That's the thing with the internet. It's like you can do an amateur background check on mostly everyone.
Pretty much, you can get a good general idea of someone. I mean, not 100% obviously, but
right. And unless you're like a psycho that created a fake Facebook page just for the situation
over a year,
yeah,
and like a phone number that's actually from Cincinnati, like I said I was from, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
it's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Anyway, so it was pretty cool going back and forth, and some friends and I were brainstorming about continuing to bike onwards with other people, like as I left,
like passing it on after you were gone.
Right. So that was kind of getting exciting. And so long story short, a week later, I flew out there. He said, "Sure, text me when you land, blah, blah." I had I think it was a 19 or 20 hour day that day where I was up for 19 and 20 hours.
Nice.
Because of the time change.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was like 3 hours behind. So I
3 hours,
woke up at 4:30 here.
Jeez, Pete.
I think it was 4 a.m. Drove to the airport, got on a plane, flew all the way out, arrived at around noon via Houston. Arrived at noon, took the link, which is the light rail.
Noon
downtown.
their time?
Yeah, noon their time.
So noon their time was like 3 o'clock our time.
Right.
So that's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11
Yeah,
hours.
maybe my math, I
like 11 hours?
Just to get there?
I guess.
That sounds about right,
okay,
actually. Yeah, from what I look at the tickets. Anyways, so I fly out there. It's noon there, and I'm obviously tired, but take the link down. It drops me off downtown. I go to the hostel for the first time, and this is my first time staying in a hostel. And people that may not know what a hostel is, it's basically you're staying with multiple other people in the same room.
In the same room.
With like 2 bunk beds. So there was 3 other people besides me. I have no idea who they are or who they will be. And they cycled in and out. Except for this one dude. My below bunk was, I believe, from Japan.
Dude.
He barely spoke any English. Like, barely. Like, he knew the word home and things like that. But it was actually kind of weird. So I saw him on the streets, too, just randomly. Like, hey, and he'd be like, huh.
That happens more than you would think in San Francisco.
It's kind of, well, this is in Seattle.
Oh, this was Seattle.
Yeah, this is my
my
first
mistake.
city.
My mistake. Okay, keep going.
So I basically am like, I told this guy that I will probably meet him around 2 or 3, I think. I can't really remember. Just to give myself a buffer. So I get there, and I feel like I stick
this
out.
Bike guy?
What?
The bike guy?
Bike guy,
okay.
yeah. Because I told him I needed to check in my hostel because I literally am walking around downtown Seattle with a big suitcase.
Oh,
like a freaking.
Yeah, you don't want to meet before dropping your stuff off. That would make sense.
Yeah, it was too. I have a book bag on. I have my camera equipment and like a big ass briefcase.
Yeah, you got no time. Yeah,
right.
You don't want to lug that stuff around. You're gonna get mugged.
I think I googled it, and it was like an hour and 15-minute walk north from where I was staying.
And it's like nah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna take a wrong turn down an alley in the Tenderloin or somewhere it's not safe.
I got my suitcase stolen. Yeah. No, so I went to the hostel, and I've never been to a hostel, and so I walk in. And I know I'm under time restraints, so I don't like have time to like just chill and like get the vibe and like just wait and then go up to this counter, whatever. Yeah. So I get in there and I'm just like, okay. And this super hippie, like talking like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Like super like
awesome.
Like attractive hippie girl.
Yeah, she was attractive, but she was just like so like wispy walk, like I don't know, with her like words and just like, oh right, okay.
For those audio people of you, he's like waving his hands.
Yeah, like real like that's
imagine
cool.
Like a really like smooth hula dancer kind of motion.
Yeah,
right now.
Well, she wasn't doing a hula dance. Then I would have been like, what the hell did I sign up for? No, so I kind of basically just said, I was trying to put up a front initially, and then my brain was like, no, you're not going to be able to pass off like you know what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Try
so
not
like
to
my
look
brain
like
quickly was like, nope, it's ask question mode now,
Yep.
So I basically asked questions like, what can I do with my suitcase? She said the bag checkage place is full and all that stuff.
At
and
the
I was
hostel?
like, oh, yeah. And I was fully expecting to lock that because I had like computer and stuff.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
I was going to kind of like be able to hopefully get it on demand when I needed it. Anyways, so long story short, they have lockers up there and everything like that. You can lock things up
Oh, okay.
just in case. So
That makes sense.
I still got like a sore thumb. Finally get through the process and then pay for it. It's $35 a night downtown Seattle, which is awesome.
Phenomenal.
I know. And so I'm on the 3rd floor, so I have to like look. There's no elevators. It's like a recovered old. It's City Hostel in Seattle. If anybody wants to look it up, but it's awesome. And I lug my suitcase all the way up. The bathrooms. Okay, so I guess I should. So I walk in and there's no one in there. So I'm like, okay, thank God. I can like mentally acclimate myself to this. And I knew I was bed A, and that turned out to be the top bunk, which was unfortunate. I was like, but it was all right. It felt like a little kid again. So
yeah, that's kind of cool. It sounds like it was just like having a sleepover at your house, like at your parents' house, except it was nothing but strangers.
A bunch of randos, yeah.
Yeah, some from different countries.
I kind of like looked at their luggage, like not looked through it, but like looked at
just started sifting through those people's luggage.
Yeah.
They walk in and it's like,
I
wanted to get a feel for the people I was going to stay with.
Exactly. Oh, they got an apple. Just start eating it. No. So I basically just...
What do you need these for?
Yeah. Just start using their stuff. This is good toothpaste.
Anyway.
So I basically just unpacked a little bit of things like my shower stuff and my sleeping attire because I was like pre-emptying everything just so I wouldn't make a bunch of noise when I came back because I knew I was going to go out that night.
That's very considerate.
So I was just like, okay, this is what I'll sleep in. I'll be as quiet as I can and going up the ladder. So I planned out, I had my battery pack, on the bed so I could charge my phone because there's no power outlets up there. So I kind of like mentally planned it out. Like, okay, I'm set there.
Okay, that's cool.
And so it was pretty cool. In the room, there's no air conditioning in Seattle for a lot of places. Because I guess, a lot of Airbnbs I was looking at in Seattle and Portland do not have air conditioning.
That's really strange. I would think that like everywhere has AC.
No, I think it's because they don't really get heat like we do consistently.
Oh,
a lot.
I guess
because a lot of places. Because every place I stayed in Seattle and Portland didn't have air. Huh. The hostel Airbnb in Portland didn't have it, and then the bar that I stayed above didn't have it. So, they give you fans. So. I eventually met the dude. The dude was an older gentleman from Japan. Looks like he's been on the road for quite a while because he's got like a cart for all of his things. And
so when you say older, like 50s or
late 50s, late 50s. Yeah, he was an older gent, but he was really like not. He was projecting niceness. And then the other two people were one was from, they were from the States, but one was like Muhammad, and one was Manuel or something like that. And they were super nice. So they kind of like said one of them solo traveled a lot, and then he was just bringing his buddy this time, first time in a hostel. I was like, my turn. Cool. Anyway. So I did end up meeting them, and then I went out and went on the trek for the bike. And so it took me about, like Google Maps said, about an hour and 15-minute walk north, which kind of got me acclimated a little bit, but it was hilly, way more hilly than I was expecting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the walk itself was tiring. So I bet it was. Oh my god! And it was like a heat wave in Seattle.
Yeah, like an hour and a half walk though, like in a city when you have 7. How many days were you on vacation?
12 with travel.
And how many were you in Seattle?
3.
Okay, so like an hour and a half walk when you have 3 days to kill in a city with no like general plans.
And I'm super new.
Yeah, you're super new. Like that's like one of my favorite ways to get.
That's true.
Intimate with the city when I first get there. And
just to like calm the brain down, like, okay.
Yeah.
These are streets like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't like hyperventilating, but like I know what you're saying. Even subconsciously it's like, okay, I'm starting to get the lay of land here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was nice anyway.
Yeah, so I finally get there, text him. Or no, I don't text him. I texted him, I was like 20 minutes out, and he said, okay, I'll meet you there.
Okay.
And we were meeting at a Lenin statue.
Okay, this is the point of the story where I wanted to get to. So, this is the story that the people at work heard. I'm getting a free bike from a dude I met on the internet, and we're meeting at a statue of a communist
ruler. Ruthless, yeah.
Which, like, to people outside of, like, people that are familiar with Reddit or anything,
yeah,
and a lot of people that are listening right now, I'm sure,
yeah.
when summarized in that way, kind of sounds mega sketchy and like you're going to get shanked.
Right, yeah. So it's like, what part are you in the communist part of the town?
Yeah. So that's why, like, Jessica was coming to me, like, 2 days after you left, like, have you heard from Anthony? Like, have we confirmed that he's still alive?
Yeah, because I think she texted me, and I was like, oh, yeah, about to meet him up, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
She probably thought that was the last she was going to hear of you.
Yeah, I guess.
But you made it out alive.
But I made it out alive. So the Lenin statue was very hard to miss, so it was really big.
I have to imagine.
Yeah, you can Google it. It's pretty impressive. Apparently a family owned it and donated it to the city, and now it's like a thing. People try to get it out of there. But
why
anyway,
the heck did they even...
Haven't a clue.
Okay, anyway.
This dude had it commissioned and whatever.
Okay.
So met with the dude. We talked for like 20, 30 minutes. I can't really remember, but he told me a bunch of stuff and like what to watch out for while riding the bike. And,
yeah.
And super nice guy from Utah, software developer, whatever. And he was talking about moving to Portland because it was so expensive to live in Seattle, which I was kind of like, whoa. So his apartment was like quite expensive per month. I was like,
sorry, where'd you meet this guy again?
Reddit. Oh,
was this the bike guy?
Yeah, this is a bike guy.
Okay, gotcha.
So like the bike, it is like way better than I expected, and he had a helmet just like he said.
Wow,
and
he gave you a helmet too. Nice.
Yeah, and I asked him for a selfie just because I was like, I have to. I cannot come home without, because all these people are like, what's he like? Like, who is he? Even my dad was like,
well, and like you tell these crazy stories, and I feel like if you didn't have photographic evidence, people just wouldn't believe it.
Well, I hope people believe it, because I feel like elaborating any story instantly ruins it. Just as like an undernote for myself. Like, not that, I hope that doesn't.
Elaborating any story?
Not elaborating, but spicing it up.
Oh,
or just,
yeah.
Like
yeah.
You know
Making
what I mean?
it less than like genuine and real.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah,
because for me that just ruins. Like, there's no point in even saying it.
Totally.
Whatever. So
yeah,
but I wanted photos just so like people could like. I didn't know what he looked like either. You know. So it was
yeah. Right.
Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And why would someone do something like this? So I don't know. So I got many photos with a lot of strangers, actually.
Oh, I have no doubt.
The ones that really I talked to a long time. I met a lot of people, but just got photos with a handful. But yeah, so it went very smoothly. Told me, the pitfalls. He said the brakes were kind of mushy on it, so like before I get to San Francisco, I might want to get them checked out. And but I was like, oh, I'll test it out. So I ride off, after talking with him for a while about just everything, and instantly fell back in love with urban biking. It was like near instant. So
back in love.
So at Ohio State, I only had a bike. I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So my main mode of transportation was my bicycle, and that's all I had to rely on. And I learned like these like nice routes and little shortcuts, and it was way faster than walking and even driving sometimes, because you could just get on a bike and boom, go down these little alleys, things like that. I love zooming in and out on the streets.
Much more agile than a car.
Much more agile. It's more exciting.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but compared to like the bike trail that I use for exercise, it's much more exciting because, especially in San Francisco, my lord. So when like urban, but like I always push it for some reason. I always like to push things. Like skiing, I like to go fast.
Well, it's because it's
biking,
exciting.
I like to go fast.
It's called being an adrenaline junkie.
Right? Yeah. It's like I'd like to go fast.
I totally
like to
get
zoom around. Within kind of reason, sometimes not. Like I had a lot of spills, but but just like the switching, especially in San Francisco, the switching between pedestrian law to traffic law. Like you have to think differently when you're on the bike lanes on the street than as if you were on the sidewalk. And sometimes I go like up on a sidewalk, back on the street, up on a sidewalk, take a turn. No bike lane here, on the sidewalk.
So are you allowed to ride your bike on the sidewalk there?
A lot of people didn't like it sometimes, so I kind of picked up on that kind of quickly.
Yeah.
They didn't actually say it, but they like were looking at me.
I think it's actually illegal in a lot of places.
Right, yeah. So I picked up that real quick. So I would look for the bike lane and then like get on it.
That's good.
But some streets, like side streets, didn't have it, so you kind of had to like.
If nobody's there, it's like whatever.
Yeah,
it's probably assumed it's fine.
If there's groups coming, I would just like hop down. Even though it was a road bike, I was still kind of treating it like a BMX a little bit. That's probably attributing to some of the falls that I had because those road bikes have those thin little tires. Oh my!
Wait, so you were on a road bike like that with the really skinny tires?
Yeah.
Those things are hard to ride if you're not used to them.
Yeah, I used to ride them back in the day. My dad was into it, and I had this like trek bike, but we would ride on the road, but it was like country roads, so it wasn't like urban. So
right,
it's a nice bike,
a lot more open.
It like the wheels were kind of. I guess I would have liked a little wider wheels for like urban things or whatever, because like sharp turns and things. I definitely like I fell a couple times because of that. And then they're just like slick tires, basically. No tread on them. But it was super smooth, and the bike was unbelievably light for its age. Like, it was from the 70s. It was the dude's dad's bike from the 70s.
Oh, sweet.
Fuji from Japan. And
from Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, holy
Japan,
crap.
yeah. And I fell in love with the bike. I fell in love with urban biking over again. And I took it on ferries in Seattle, and we went to islands and peninsulas. Yeah.
All right, you keep brushing over this islands and peninsulas thing. Like, you got on a ferry with this bike and went to what islands? And like, how did you hear about the islands? Did you know about them beforehand? Like,
talking to people. So
this sounds like the most interesting part.
Oh yeah, I am kind of glossing over it because that was fun times with that. So I had to So I knew I was going to take a ferry to meet up with Calvin before. This is kidding.
Yeah, even deeper sub stories. Yeah,
so I was supposed to stay with a friend that I could not stay with in downtown anymore, and I was going to take a ferry to the other side of like southern Seattle. It's kind of hard to describe without a map.
Okay, sure.
And so I knew I was going to kind of do that, but I didn't know if I was going to be on a bike or foot. And
Google Seattle Maps, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'm doing
Follow
that
along.
myself actually. So, because I can't exactly remember the name of the island. So, my first day, instead, I couldn't visit Calvin anymore. So, and I still wanted to take a ferry to get photos of the city as the ferry was going away, which I got awesome shots.
Oh, that's awesome.
And and it was something to do. So, it was like, okay, let's do this. It's something to start my day. And it's different parts of Seattle. So, I took a ferry all the way to the Navy shipyard of Bremerton.
Okay.
And that's it was a pretty decent, it was about an hour-long ferry west.
Okay.
And there's a big military naval shipyard there, and there's like some historical things. And then I had Googled some restaurants and a microbrew there. So I was like, okay, that's different. You know, it's not something that normally people would probably do in Seattle. So once I got the bike, I was like, I'm going to do the non-touristy things. I didn't make that decision. It's just my brain was just like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, because that's more fun usually. I mean, like, not necessarily, but like, at least like we're kindred spirits in this way. Like, when I go to a city, I don't want to go to do the obvious tourist things either.
Right.
Like, maybe hit a couple of them just to say I did it. Like, when I was in San Francisco, I was obviously going to go see the Golden Gate Bridge at some point.
Yeah.
But a lot of people make those like the standout moments in their vacations, and that just doesn't, roll with my way of thinking, because it's like, it feels synthetic and obvious a lot of the time.
It came quite apparent when I went to Fisherman, or not Fisherman's. Yeah,
that's the kind of big touristy area in San Francisco.
Oh yeah. Then Seattle had its own thing. Anyway, whatever. They have their own thing on the bay or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it when I went to it, but. So I went to the naval base, saw my first aircraft carrier in my entire life.
Oh, like a gigantic...
Yeah, the City on Water.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I was trying to get a shot down the coast of the whole naval shipyard, and it took a while to get there.
Wow.
And I was just guesstimating on my phone, Google Maps. As I was riding, I would look at it, be like, I think if I just keep going this way. So I didn't really have a destination. I just had a vantage point that I thought would be good.
Oh, that's sweet.
And like military bases, you can't get close to, for good reasons. I couldn't. It was all fenced off, and if you look at the map of it, it's kind of hard to get to. So I went to where I thought I would get a good vantage point.
Just based on the Google Maps?
Yeah, just kind of basing on what I would think would be a good shot. And the elevation was low, so I wasn't willing to go back up the hill. I was kind of exhausted at this point. And that's when I came around a corner, and I was like, oh my God. And there was two of them there. There was three total. One was at the microbrew, I ended up drinking beer. I got a photo with him too. So I ended up drinking beer with a dude stationed on one of the aircraft carriers.
Oh, he was just there, and you just
at a microbrew, and we just started conversation.
Okay, just like sat next to him at the bar or something.
Right.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, because again, like a lot of times these conversations with bar goers and the bartenders would start out, I would be like, oh, I'm exhausted, or they could physically see I was exhausted.
And that was your entry point. Like, this
every
is why
time,
I'm here.
man. Yeah, they would be like, you look exhausted or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, I just biked here, and they're like, oh, what are you biking from? I'm like, I'm on a solo trip from Seattle to Santa Cruz.
Nice.
Instant, like they would just be instantly helpful and like interested instantly. Like, oh, you're going here? Where are you going here?
Yeah,
you should go here.
Yep.
And then I picked up on that. By the time I hit Portland, I knew that was just the thing. I mean, it wasn't like I did it in fake. I was exhausted, or they just physically saw me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wouldn't say anything because I was just wanting to chill, but people would talk, whatever.
Yeah, it's a cool part. Like, it's cool for them because they're locals, so the thing that they know the most is the city that they live in.
Yeah.
So they see you, somebody that's never been there, and it's like, oh, somebody that I can give all this knowledge to.
Right.
And that I want to help because their cause is cool.
Exactly. And a lot of these micro brews and bars and stuff were like way kind of not in a touristy type of, whatever.
So they probably weren't expecting it.
Yeah, it was just two bartenders and a family in the next room of this brewery playing pool, and then this guy walks in, and it was just me and him at the bar at lunchtime, and I was just taking a breather and like, getting my Chromebook out and like the next stop and everything like that.
Mapping out your next steps, yeah.
Yeah, so he told me all about the aircraft carrier. Told him I've never seen one before in my life, and yeah, it was pretty neat. So just a lot of local stuff. So I went across the bridge later, ate somewhere, blah blah. Took the ferry back while the sun was setting, and got sunset shots, kind of sunsetty shots of Seattle on my way back that day. And I was just like, this was a good decision.
Oh god, that's amazing.
And then my main thing I would do normally, what I would do is day events. And then I would come back to the hostel or Airbnb, take a shower around 6 or 7, and then go out in town on night on foot.
Beautiful.
And do it that way.
Oh, fantastic.
So, because I quickly, thank God I packed all these, all of the underwear that I did and everything. Like, I packed a ton of clothes.
Like extra stuff?
Super extra.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't really realize that I would need to take 2 showers a day. Until like quickly on, I was like, "Oh shoot!"
Like, cause you were like mega sweaty at night or something, or
oh yeah, well, because when I wanted to go out and I didn't want to stay.
Oh right, yeah.
So I would take a shower in the morning, go out, ride around the city all day, eating, drinking wherever I pleased. And, I would sometimes just see a bar along the way and be like, or a food place or something, or just a park.
Because you ain't got a schedule or an agenda. That's
no
the
schedule.
best thing. Did you say get shot just now?
No, a park to get shots. Like, of whatever.
See a park, go get shot.
See
an alley, go take a risk.
Yeah.
Jump off a bridge.
Eat pizza with a bum.
No, but yeah, that sounds great. Like, that's what my favorite part is about not having an agenda when I go somewhere, is that you leave it open to random adventures and the unexpected. And the unexpected is the most exciting part about vacations like this.
I know, and it's so awesome.
And it never ends. Like, if you're in somewhere that you don't understand or that you've never been, like, and it's a big city like Seattle, you can walk for days and have like consistent adventures.
Oh yeah,
consistently.
And it's
like,
not
obviously.
like sightseeing, like things that necessarily need to happen. It's just people and events going on, or it could be like a festival.
Yeah, which is like why like my next trips, like I'm not even so worried about going to a big like quote unquote interesting city like New York or anything. Like, because if you just go to a city that you don't live in, like that you're not familiar with, you can have those same kinds of adventures just by not having a schedule and walking around.
Exactly.
And talking to people that live there.
Yep, agree.
Because every place has stories. But anyway.
So, yeah, that was usually my days. And
you got me very excited.
Exactly. So then I went to the island the other day, did the same type of thing, just biked around. It was really hilly but very beautiful. And then I ended up at like a pizza place and just talked with them and just got more ideas at the main city. And at night, I would go to like comedy shows or live music. So it's something that's like ultra mingling and like something where you're not like sticking out as a solo, and it's entertainment. You get entertainment and there's drinks and it's just fun. Like it's just,
that sounds
and
great.
I've never been to a comedy show, so I was hitting a lot of like firsts on this thing. So, and I ended up really enjoying going to comedy, like live comedy shows.
Was it anybody that anybody would know?
No, not really. I looked beforehand and like Eddie Patone in San Francisco is probably the only one. He's like a Netflix special that I recognize seeing on Netflix. Like,
that's
I
cool.
remember that. But he's not like super known, I don't think. And then there was a comedian lady that used to write for Conan O'Brien and things like that. But that was basically Seattle, and I mean, I'm skipping through like all sorts of stuff.
I'm sure you are, yeah.
Because I had an itinerary for each city just in case.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't waste my time, I felt like I might get bored because I've never done anything quite like this at all,
Yeah.
And never used it. Never. I had it on my Google Docs, and no. Like, I found out real quickly that talking to locals and things like that, I got way more better for the type of trip I wanted. Just doing it on the fly, and I absolutely loved it.
That's great.
And visited my friend Calvin. Shout out to Calvin in Tacoma, which is an hour drive south of Seattle on my way to Portland.
Dude, Tacoma.
Yeah.
New game from people that made Gone Home. Just a side note.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they might be from Tacoma.
All
but
right.
anyway, that's completely unrelated to what you're talking about.
I've never heard that game studio. So Calvin and I went out to lunch, and that was nice to visit him because I was supposed to stay with him, and we were unable to hang out in Seattle downtown. But we hung out in Tacoma for a while.
How do you know Calvin?
I know Calvin from Walgreens. So
back in the Walgreens days.
Right,
gotcha.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
he's at Walgreens. Him and I were
cool.
nerd buddies, and we talked about building computers and Star Wars and video games. And he's kind of where he kind of sparked a lot of my building computer and hardware love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So him and I would
really
talk
cool.
about that stuff all the time.
That's really cool.
And then Portland, I met up with a coworker's friend that lived there, and she kind of drove me around and just give me the lay of the land. And that was different. So I was used to biking, and I kind of craved it as she was right. Like, I really appreciate it. And we went to dinner, and it was nice. And she was really nice and explained a bunch of stuff about Portland. But the next day, I did tell her, I was like, I kind of want to bike around during the day and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Things came up where she couldn't meet up with me in the evening, which is fine. And because again, I had no idea. I was kind of expecting hang out with her and have her show me around.
Mm-hmm.
This was before I realized that the urban biking and this kind of birthed in Seattle, basically.
Yeah, right.
This style of vacationing was birthed there.
Yeah, you couldn't have planned this.
I did not plan. Yeah, I didn't. To the extent of
yeah.
this, and looking at my stars in Seattle and where I went, it was just this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that guy gave me that bike.
That's amazing.
And Portland, so the next day I did a ton of stuff because I had basically I had 2 days there, so this was the second day. So I had 1 day to bike all around.
Yeah.
And
so we're in Portland now.
Oh yeah, the first night so I gotta say this. So we're friends on Facebook. So the first night she drops me off, and it's at 9, and I was thinking, okay, I guess this is gonna be my first Uber downtown. So I'm standing in front of my hostel style Airbnb on my phone, thinking what to do, and this girl introduced herself, and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like,
"This girl that was just in the hostel."
She's standing on a corner, waiting to cross the street.
Oh, interesting.
Like this.
Oh,
yeah, just a random person. And she's like, "What are you doing?" or something like that. And I'm like, "I'm looking for a place to go." I can't really remember exactly how it transpired, but she was like, "Do you want to hang out and go to a bar too?" And I was like, "Sure." So then we walked to a bar, and I saw the end of the UFC 202, which I kind of wanted to see, but I knew in Portland I'm not going to go to a bar to watch the end of a UFC mixed martial arts fight. That's just not something you do in Portland.
No, it's pedestrian.
But the first bar we came across was the soccer bar, and they just so happened to have the fight streaming from the computer onto a TV. So I was like, I cannot believe I'm ending up, and it's the end prize fight.
Wow.
I was like, this is so weird.
That's amazing.
So then we hung out there for a while. I got a picture with her, and then we walked back, and
you friended her on Facebook?
Yeah.
All right.
And I walked back, and she walked back to her car, and then from her car I just Google Maps back to the hostel, and I was arriving super late. Never met anybody there. So got back, went to bed, took a shower, never met anybody, left. And left my car parked there and just took out my bike from the car, put the front wheel on because the front wheel is a quick release so it can fit in the trunk.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And
Detachable.
so I put the bike together and then just biked around all day and ended up in a bike-a-thon type. I can't remember. She told me about it the night before. So
Wait, ended up in a bike-a-thon?
Well, okay, so it's not a bike-a-thon. So it's they close off a bunch of streets that are in this big loop.
Yeah.
And people just bike around it, so you can kind of bike freely and see like the neighborhoods and.
Is this like a daily thing or weekly, or does it just happen every once in a while?
It seemed like an event because they had tents.
Dang, so you just happen to be biking around.
Well, she told me about it the night before. She told me about a bunch of things. I need to see the redwoods on my way down to Eureka.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
We have to talk about those.
I wouldn't have stopped
those are so
unless
beautiful.
she I kind of diverted my my route because of her mentioning this, because she thought it was so funny that I wasn't going to see the redwoods.
Right.
So this is just an example of like just random people.
Yeah.
Like, enriching my vacation.
Butterfly affecting
as
you.
I went, it was this 100% all the time. And so she told me about the bike thing. She's like, "Oh, you're biking. You should definitely do that tomorrow. It's pretty neat." So I woke up from the hostel Airbnb and went to get breakfast. And that was a time where I saw a food truck, and I just decided to stop and eat there. It was one of the best breakfast sandwiches I ever had in my life.
So it was like a breakfast food truck?
Yeah. And then I ended up at a donut spot as like breakfast dessert, and it was delicious.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
God, I love eating on vacation.
Blue Star donut, I believe.
Okay.
Apparently it's really good.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
Yeah. And so on my way back from that, I ended up in this bike event.
Anthony, your life is a cartoon.
So, yeah, but you did the marathon on Put in Bay at random. It was I thought of you when I was in it. I was like, this is like Austin. Now I'm just riding with all these people.
That's why we work well together.
Yeah, I literally thought it. I was like, this is like an Austin move here. All right, here we go. So I was biking with like a bunch of people, and I was taking photos. I was like, I actually made it to this, because I remember her saying it, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll check into it, but I knew I wasn't going to remember it.
Was it more of a race or a tour?
No, it was more of a tour. So
Okay.
It wasn't like anybody was racing.
So
But there was tons of bikes there. It was neat to be involved in.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
What was also cool that transpired from it was towards one of the parts, there was a bunch of tents with like businesses. And there was one tent fixing people's bikes. And I knew I had a brake, like mushy brakes. It still braked okay, but I knew San Francisco. I was probably
they needed touched up, yeah.
Yeah, so I stopped. They put it on the rack and started fixing it. And when they took it down, it was like brakes were perfect. And I said, "How much is it?" He's like, "No, it's free." And I was like, well, "How much can I tip you?" And he's like, "No, we don't take tips."
Oh my god!
I was like, "Oh my god, I got a free bike." And I just so happened to ride in this thing that has like a free bike fixing stand,
dude.
And I'm just like, my fortunes are so like.
So I said this earlier in our meeting, but like your life was basically The Secret Life of Walter Mitty for like a week.
Oh yeah, that movie.
Except it was completely real.
Yeah,
all this actually happened.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure you documented it with photos.
Oh yeah, I have not even looked at my photos. I mean, I briefly had in the fly when I was taking them.
Yeah.
But there's so many that I kind of even dread to start. But I know I have to. But anyways,
yeah.
So that was cool. And then that night I stayed in one of the oldest bars in Portland, upstairs.
Stayed in it?
Yeah. So upstairs there's a hostel style, but I had my own room. And yeah, it was Sunday night, so it was kind of slow. And there was live music downstairs, but it was kind of like there was just the dude's friends there, and like just a handful
it wasn't
of
bumping,
people.
It was kind of lame. Or?
It was kind of lame, but there was a girl that I met on social media or social app thingy.
Okay.
And that's when we started a conversation, and we talked for like 4 hours, and it kind of like saved my night.
Dang.
Yeah. So
wait, she
it
just
was
happened
like,
to be there? Like you met her and then she
no,
came
we didn't
to
meet.
the thing?
But we were like talking. So I was like,
you were
drinking
talking
beer,
through the app. Okay.
listening to music, and then having a conversation online. Which, like you and I, like we talk online a lot. So like that's fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I can have a conversation, and it's not exactly like real life, but it was fun.
Okay, so you just happened to connect with this girl at
right.
the same time.
And we just talked or whatever. Because I was leaving that next morning.
Okay,
cool. So whatever. But it sparked an excellent conversation. And yeah, so that's what I did that night. And otherwise, that would have been. And she like, I was gonna go out and get a night shot of Seattle where the bar was. Like it was kind of like a 15-minute walk south, like in this park. But I knew because I was coming from the convenience store for like drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
That I knew that it was probably gonna be a little sketchy at night. I just got that vibe.
And what city is this in again?
This was in This was in northern Portland.
Northern Portland. Okay, so not Seattle. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it was at it was at that one bar. The White Eagle Saloon. So it's one of the oldest bars. So it was a really old bar, and it was just in an odd part of town.
I see.
But it was cheap, and I was like, oh, a bar below. That's right up my alley. I'll just walk upstairs and go to bed.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. Plus, I feel like if you meet anybody in that bar, it's almost a talking point that you're both in a bar that nobody else is in.
Right, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, hey, what's up? Nobody else is here, so
yeah,
might as well talk to you.
It wasn't really a talky tight. Like, the setting was, everybody was just there,
grungy.
like, drinking and just watching the music. It was
Hating
kind of like a
life.
downer music, too.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, man.
Sounds really depressing.
It was kind of cool, though. So it was like the atmosphere and the acoustic guitar and singing kind of worked together, and it just felt like a saloon type like thing where if someone walks in, everybody looks. The front door, that type of thing.
Dang, I like that.
Yeah, so it was different.
That is neat.
I loved how the different contrastings of all these places I stayed at, because there was 0 hotels.
Yeah, dude, you went through like an entire how every video game has like a grass place and an ice place and a desert place.
That type of stuff.
You went through every frigging scenario, every biome.
I wanted to sample everything. Yeah,
It sounds like you did.
So I ended up not getting nice shots, but there was a balcony out back that had kind of the view of the city. But so that was cool. So that was awesome. So 3 awesome people in Portland helped me out there like immensely.
Wow.
And yeah. So then I went. I'm like,
does that like conclude your stories of Portland?
Yeah, but I have to. What are we doing on time here?
No, we're good. We're good. We can keep going.
Are you sure?
I think it's time to take a break though.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a break. Okay. So that
this next one's kind of crazy.
Is this next one still Portland?
No.
Okay, so all right, so that's Seattle and Portland. These have been the first 2 stops in Anthony's West Coast vacation. Well, roughly 2 different main cities. We'll be right back and talk about whatever crazy things he's going to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Later.
Welcome back to the P-Funk and Fro Show. This is episode 15 once again. If you found this podcast through Facebook, through one of my posts, be sure to subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Google Play, whatever kind of podcast apps you use.
Right.
Keep those downloads coming. We appreciate that you're here. But anyway, first half of the podcast was dedicated to the first half of Anthony's crazy West Coast adventure, and now we're back to hear about what happened after he got done with the city of Portland. So, Anthony, would you like to take the mic again?
Sure. I feel like I'm bogarting, but I appreciate you.
No, dude, you got a lot of stuff to say. You got a lot of stuff to say.
So, at this point, I have seen the bay in Seattle, but not actually like the ocean, like the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so the bay, not the ocean. Gotcha.
Right. So, Portland, I took Highway 1 down to Eureka, and that was Eureka, California was my pit stop because Portland to San Francisco was too long of a drive. It was just too long.
So you needed a halfway point.
Right. And there's no real interesting, I guess I should have stayed in redwoodsy areas, but I, again, hadn't really thought of that until that girl said that, so I was kind of like added on. So I, coming from Portland, I took a road west to Highway, 101, I'm sorry, I wasn't on Highway 1 yet. Over to 101, and that's when I first saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time. So that I had to stop the car. I was like,
what was that like? Was it as striking as you expected?
Well, I could smell the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had the windows down, of course. And that I got excited. I was like, I think I smell the ocean. And, my nose is kind of sensitive now, and I was like, oh, I think I smell the ocean. And then I saw it. And I was like, oh, my God, that's it. So I stopped, took tons of photos. And then all these, Vista stops, I took more photos every time I saw a sign like, this is a good stop for photos.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that all the way down to Eureka, and I went through the Prairie Creek Redwood State Park and saw the big one, it's called, in quotes.
The
whatever.
Big one?
It's a really big redwood tree.
It's a big old tree.
Yeah, big old tree. And
the biggest of trees.
A kind lady there was waiting for her party to come back from a hike, and we chatted about photos. I didn't get a photo with her, but she took my photo in front of it with my SLR.
How'd that conversation start?
You
just said, hey, there's a big old tree in it.
Yeah, I was
like, sure is.
That's a big old tree.
Sure is. Then you're like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm solo tripping from Seattle to Santa Cruz.
I think, it worked. It easily came up easily.
Yeah.
I don't know how, and it wasn't like a gloating type. I don't know.
Well, usually when you
explain it,
when you ask somebody how they're doing, usually it's like, oh, okay, I'm fine, and it's normal. But when they ask you, it's like, oh, I'm good, just on my solo trip. It's.
Well, I think it's because
your
I was
current
on
state of being.
Own, and I just project it. Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's like, this is what I'm doing, and they're like, oh, I'm very interested in this because it's crazy.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is okay, so you are by yourself because I'm not with anybody, just walking on my own. And because usually like places like that, it's like groups of people looking and taking photos, and then there's just me like looking around.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think she talked to me first. She was like, "Do you want your picture
really?
in front of it?"
Oh,
Because I was thinking
cool.
like that's how it happened.
Okay.
And
Anyway,
she was
big
really
old tree.
nice, and she like we started talking about my camera and then her camera and stuff like that. Anyway, so she took a bunch of photos. She was super nice, and I told her I had to like leave because I didn't want to get to Eureka super late because I was already kind of pushing it because I think that was like a 8 or 9 hour ride or 8 hours, something like that. And so I left there, went down Highway 101, gorgeous, whatever. I get into Eureka, California, and I knew this was going to be an interesting Airbnb because it was an organic farm and farmhouse, like a ranch.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't really street view like the area around it, but I knew what the house looked like, and I knew that she ran an organic restaurant in town. So I was planning on eating there, and turns out it's closed that day. She messaged me hours before my arrival that she was doing a staff party, I'm assuming her staff, in the mountains. And she said, I may not be home tonight.
The heck?
And she said, I may not be home tonight. The door's unlocked. Your key's on the nightstand.
You're kidding me.
And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And this is before seeing the house. So I'm like, okay. That's because a lot of Airbnbs will have like passcodes.
That sounds like
door.
you're going to get trapped in a bathtub.
Yeah. So when I get there, it gets even like worse or better or however you want to think of it adventure-wise.
The keys on the nightstand. I set out your outfit on your bed.
Don't mind the axe that was used to slay a cow.
Please put on the outfit promptly
Right.
before 9 a.m.
We are Amish here.
Make sure you shut the door before you go to sleep.
Well, yeah, she said shut the door if you don't want dogs and cats coming in your room. So,
Dogs and cats and murderers.
And murder. Axe murders.
So you just went in this house? And
yeah, so I arrived there at like 7:30, and it's like becoming dark out, and it's cow field after cow field that I'm driving on, and it's streets with no lined roads. Like some roads were lined, some were not.
What the heck?
And it was
dude?
one of those streets that they just laid blacktop, like, and it's just like there. They barely used like cement rollers, so it was like
just
rough
plopped
roads.
it on there.
Yeah, I just plopped it on there in between farm fields. I'm serious, man. And so I'm just like, where am I going?
You didn't check this place. Okay, so you say there was no
it
street
looked
view.
out in the boonies. Don't get me wrong, because I'm from the boonies here.
Yeah, sure.
But it used to be boonies. But so I arrived to the house, and there is a car in the driveway, but I didn't. She might have multi cars, but
sure.
And so I pull in, and sure enough, there's chickens and ducks everywhere on the left. Man. And then the house lights on, and there's a car there. So I'm like, oh, she hadn't left yet or something like that. So I'm not going to no, it kind of looked like the house as I walked around to the side, which was her front door.
Yeah.
There was nothing going on inside. I didn't see. It was just like one light on in the kitchen, and then the rest was dark. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And so I like knocked and then opened the door at the same time, and I was just like, "Hello, I'm the Airbnb guy."
Yeah.
Like as I walked in with my suitcase, like, "Hello."
Oh my god, dude!
And the dogs were like super nice, and the cats were like very like wanting
the
petted.
Dogs are super nice.
Oh yeah, one dog didn't really like people. Like he wasn't mean or anything. He just would stare and walk off. The other dog was like, "Pet me,
a prude.
Pet me." Yeah. Baby.
So how did it feel just being alone in this stranger's house?
So had I not been in like hostels, I think I would have been. Like I kind of was used to the weird.
You were conditioned.
Like I was like ready for the weird, basically.
I guess, yeah.
So I went into the room that was off the kitchen, exactly as she described. She had one of those magnetic knife racks with like big knives on it. I was just like, this is just like eerie as hell, and it's like dark and the lights are off except for one, like casting shadows.
But
anyway,
none of this
not really
stopped
shadows,
you from staying.
but
here.
it was like one light, just like just not brightly lit, so it was like really weird.
It was an eerie light.
Yeah,
but none of this deterred you enough to leave.
Where else am I gonna go at this point? It was like 7:30, and Eureka, I found out, was quite a depressing town. So I set my stuff down, and I am starving. So I quickly Google a place, and it's this dive bar in downtown Eureka. And they got like steak dinner and stuff like that. And most places were closed early. So I ended up there, and I had this very nice steak dinner. This is like the contrasting of this trip. So I had an awesome steak dinner on one of my nights in Seattle, like at this like a 4-star. I wouldn't say it was like the super high star, but it was a very expensive dinner.
Yeah.
And it was excellent steak. And then I ended up 3-4 days later in a dive bar in Eureka, California, eating steak at this like local bar, way local. I even had my laptop up because I'm used to just on my bike rides here, like these bars, biker bars and stuff. Like I know I stick out like a sore thumb. So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna get some odd looks here. Yeah. Yep. So I asked if there was internet. And she's like, yeah.
Did she have to give you a Wi-Fi code?
Actually, was there internet? No. I think I had to work offline. So Google Maps or Google Docs. Yeah. When I write, it saves offline until you get online.
So you can,
Yeah. So I did not have internet except for my phone. So I wrote a little bit there, and then ate a steak dinner there. And I remember I was like, "This is so weird." I was in like this fancy steak dinner days ago, and now I'm like rubbing shoulders with a drunk bar owner next to me. I was told that later because he was pissed drunk. And the bartender was like, "How'd you like Jerry or whatever his name was?" I was like, "He was interesting."
He was like Jerry?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I can't remember what his name was, but
how'd you like Jerry?
When he left with his like lady friend, I don't know where he found her, but
she comes back. Everybody's like, "How'd you like Jerry?" She's like, "I don't know. Jerry was fine."
Jerry's fine.
I don't want to talk
think
about it.
He said that because he obviously knew I was out of town. That was definite. And then Jerry was like looking at my computer and be like, "What? He was just really crass and like just to the point." And he was really drunk.
What is this guy?
Yeah, and he leaves, drinks half a beer. Apparently, he always does that. He comes there, eats a meal, drinks a half a beer. This is the bartender telling me this after he leaves. Drinks a half a beer, and then tips really well. And he says he actually owns a bar up north.
What the
And he
heck?
lives down here. Yeah, really crazy. I mean, just the characters. I don't know. I would have never guessed
we
this
have
guy
to find
owned a
this
bar.
guy.
I can't even remember his name, honestly. Jerry just sounds like what he would be named.
Yep. All right.
So I go back to the Airbnb in the middle of cow fields. During the night, I have eerie night photos of driving, and it's just, I got to show them to you. They're so freaky.
So of the top 10 sketchiest things you've ever done, where does this land on that list?
Ever done? I mean, I'd have to really think about that, but it's up there.
Okay,
It's
I'm
definitely
sure it
up
is.
there. Like even the downtown thing, because I parked the car and I was like, this better not get a rock thrown through it or something like that. It was just a real depressing part of town. It felt like a town that had industry that had left.
Oh.
So it was one of those towns.
Oh.
So just to give you an idea. And it was foggy and it was night. And I was definitely not used to the area.
You were in Silent Hill, dude.
Kind of felt like that. No, driving home, it was really, I mean, there's no one out there, no other cars.
Dude, that's messed
in the
up.
middle of fields. I thought it was pretty cool. I couldn't see the stars, so that was kind of disappointing. I bet if it was a clear sky, I could see some mother load of stars. But yeah.
So you went to sleep in this place.
Went back. She still wasn't there, so I was like, well, she is not coming home.
I'd have been offended that she didn't invite me to her sweet party.
That's true.
Like,
she
what the
said
heck?
up in the mountains. There's no way I could have.
That would have been cool, though.
There's no way I would have
Okay,
had time.
gotcha, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then I would have want to like really get down, and I kind of needed a pit stop for like rest too, because I knew San Francisco was going to be a lot
heavy on the
and
plans,
it was more than I even expected. So I took Highway 101 to 1, and that was just a beautiful ride. Got lost a couple times, took the wrong turn just because Google Maps keeps wanting you to take the quickest route.
Yeah.
And I would have to force it, so I'd have to just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So
Anyway,
I saw some off the beat stuff, and I ended up coming to Golden Gate Bridge, drove across that. That was, awesome and everything.
God.
So I came off of the contrast of coming off of 101 or Highway 1 through the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, whatever park, woodsy shoreline to like the bridge to like huge city. So it was bigger than I expected. Just how expansive it was. Like downtown is like a downtown. But like driving through like the metropolitan area itself, for some reason, because my Airbnb was on the opposite side of the Golden Gate Bridge, so it was on just south of the Mission District, and it just felt like it took forever. And I was like, I'm gonna have to bike because I knew I was biking to the bridge.
Yeah.
So all this time of travel, my brain was calculating how long this is gonna bike, and the traffic was insane. And there's trolleys, and there's buses, and there's people. And
why'd you have to bike back to the bridge just to see it and take pictures and stuff, or what?
Yeah, that was my plan.
Okay.
So I knew I was gonna bike from the Airbnb, and I had like generalized Googled it since I had the bike and I knew what to look for. Estimations wise. I started getting real good at like estimating distances and biking times and stuff like that. And so it was just like, oh my god. And I saw a bunch of stuff. I went to Fisherman's Wharf. Didn't you know, it was like back to the touristy things. It wasn't really my vibe anymore. Like I just didn't really.
I know what you mean. It's good to go there just to make sure, though.
Things like that, but it really wasn't. I didn't go up the Space Needle. It was just like got my photos, and it was neat. You know, I like the architecture. Don't get me wrong, but it was. I just wasn't gonna buy gifts and T-shirts.
Yeah, that's not why you were there.
No, exactly.
Okay, if you want to do that kind of thing, but it's just not the kind of vibe that you were going for.
Right. So, so I basically did what I did in Seattle, and I biked during the day all over the place, and in the evening I would come home around 6 to 7, take a shower. Yeah, San Francisco.
Okay.
And then this time at night, I took 2 Uber trips, because it was just, after biking those hills and that mental just alertness that I had to be was like twice as much as Seattle. Was just so draining.
Yeah,
like
San
it was
Francisco
so
is
draining.
like known for its hills.
Yeah, and
they're ridiculous.
I even like avoided them. So I would take the I would loop around to the east to the bay shore, you know, because that's like flatter.
Yeah,
and I would like go up to places from there
instead
of like going through the city with the hills and then going down the bay. I would just kind of like ease around.
Yeah, because that would kill your legs and the bike probably.
And I was already my legs were already in like what? No, we do this like twice a week, not every day. Like,
right.
So I saw a bunch of stuff, and I went to the comedy shows there, and they were really good. Those had bigger headlines, and
okay.
Rode to the bridge. That was interesting.
Dude, is the bridge like way bigger than you expected?
Yeah, it was pretty big. I mean, I kind of figured it was going to be huge, but it's like when you actually get up to it, it was different than driving, obviously, like being on there on the bike. And just as I got closer, it got bigger and bigger.
It blew me away. I couldn't believe it. Like when I went there, like you drive up and you go next to that rec center or whatever that you're talking about, like the little like public area, and you look and it just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
And it's so long.
And especially if there's like fog, like it disappears into the fog. Like,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then you can see Alcatraz off to the side if there's no fog.
And that was closer than I expected. For some reason, I thought that was going to be harder to see.
Weird. Yeah, same.
But yeah, you can really see Alcatraz really easily.
Mm-hmm.
But on my way back, there was an interesting event. There was a girl, a jumper, and that was kind of sad.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Yeah.
Don't really want to, it kind of...
Don't want to kill the vibe.
Yeah, it was kind of odd for a while for me, but I rode back kind of just aimlessly, didn't really have a destination. So then I think I went home from there and shower, then went back out at night. So that was different and not really good, but yeah. So the next day I went to, I rode through the Golden Gate Park and went to the west coast of the Seattle, I guess, major, or whatever you would call it.
San Francisco?
Yeah, or San Francisco major.
Okay.
And it was really foggy on that side, and like locals kind of told me that like the fog is like you. So this one bartender told me San Francisco has tons of microclimates, and people told me I needed to bring a hoodie for San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
And thank God I did.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because it was like on the bridge itself. Holy cow, it was really cold.
Yeah.
So
it'll blow your mind. It's the same temperature all year round too.
Yeah, that blows. Yeah,
I
like
love
you
it.
said, it blows my mind. A lot of locals said they love it. But man, it would be sunny where my Airbnb was, and like on the city side, and I was riding to the west side, to the west coast of it, and up over that big hill that I had to walk up because it was just too steep. Like there's no way, even with the granny gear.
Yeah.
And I walked over it, and it got just cold and like overcast and kind of nasty, and I was like, did I make a good decision? Ended up having good food along the way, so it was good.
San Francisco's got great food.
Yeah, I mean everywhere. Man,
great food.
And so I saw that. I didn't go to the Cliff House restaurant that I was going to because it was like kind of fancy, and I was kind of just bike, mode.
Yeah.
Not really. I kind of.
Yeah, you weren't dressed for it.
I wasn't necessarily dressed for it, but
you look like
I wore
slob.
Like nicer. Nah, usually I wore like biking stuff, but this time. Thanks, Austin. Now I'm gonna look through my photos like, oh my god, I did look like a slob. But bike back. Right before when I called in for the podcast, that's when the bike kind of like the back gearing went into the spokes and got all jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
After I got off the podcast with you, I went to a bike shop. The guy fixed it. He really nice. It was called Reef Ride Bikes. It's awesome.
That's a great name.
I actually
That's a fantastic name.
I took a photo with him naturally.
Of course, yeah.
He fixed it. on the rack. He spent, like, him and I were talking again. Told my how I got the bike.
Yeah,
and
your whole story.
He was super bike nut, so he loved like the story of it.
Oh, that's
cool. It seemed like he was intrigued by it. But anyways, so he fixed it, and I was like, "How much do I owe you?" He was like, "I don't know. I guess just throw me $5." I was like, "This is ridiculous."
The heck?
He had all of his like tools out. Like the rear gearing was bent into the spokes, and I had to bend it out just to get it where 3 gears would work out of 18. So I was very limited. I could barely get it. Like in the park, I was heaving at it.
What the heck? So this was his business. This was a business. Like
business.
It wasn't like some tent on the side of the road. Like this is his like livelihood, and he just hardly charged you for it.
Yeah, and I told him about the free bike fixing, and I said I'm not trying to get something for free or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I don't know, just throw me $5 for it. So I gave him like all like the lower bills I had. So I gave him like 9, whatever. And I was like super appreciative of him and everything like that. And I got a photo of him. And on Google sometimes if it knows your location, it'll be like, do you want to add this photo to the shop's photos? So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's happened to me at a pizza place once.
It's approved. So there's a photo at Reef Ride Bikes in San Francisco.
Oh, I gotta look that up right now.
Of me and the bike dude, and he looks totally like a bike shop owner. He totally does.
Yes.
So, and there's another one in San Francisco of me at the convenience store next to my Airbnb, of me and the 2 gentlemen there that were so nice to me, and they were so fun to talk to.
Yeah.
It's called
Reef Ride Cycles?
Or yeah, maybe that's what it is. Reef Ride Cycles.
Hold on. I'm looking for it. Keep talking.
And I haven't started. So
dude, that's fantastic. How do you keep getting away with these cheap deals?
I don't know. I mean, I even told him, I was like, I'm just telling you a story because I like to. Yeah, it's Reef Ride Cycles. It's on 17th Street.
Okay. I mean, can we see the pictures on Yelp or is it just on the Google?
It should be Google.
All right. Let me see if I can find them. All right. But anyway, so you got your bike fixed.
Got my bike fixed, and he said, well, I mean, this isn't a perfect shot or whatever, or perfect fix, but it should last you. But man, I mean, the gears cycled through just perfectly. Actually, I'm not seeing it myself on here.
I'm not seeing it.
I got a link. Like Google emailed me. Maybe it takes some time.
Yeah, maybe.
That's disappointing. Yeah, I have an email from Google, and it has all the other photos that I did. And I did another one at the convenience store. The 2 gentlemen that worked there, they were super nice.
God, that's awesome. So you got your bike fixed. So like, what other crazy things happened while you were in San Francisco?
San Francisco. I mean, just good comedy, good food. Trying to think. Yeah, the bike kind of shit the bed. The thing got fixed. It was just podcast with you.
Oh yeah, called in. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, just biking in that city was just intense, and it was like your traffic laws, then pedestrian laws, then don't hit the trolley and don't let it.
A lot going on. Yeah.
But I absolutely loved it, and it was just so exciting to bike around there. But I will say, of all the cities, Seattle was the easiest to bike in and the most pleasurable to bike in.
Yeah, I imagine San Francisco is like a lot of people describe it like a very, very small New York. Like it's the same kind of vibe.
Even though I've never been to New York, but
okay,
it's definitely more New York-y than what I imagine it would be than the other cities I was at.
Yeah,
it was definitely more metropolitan-y. And I don't know.
It's got an interesting personality. San Francisco does.
Right.
Yeah.
So from there, I had a short trip to Santa Cruz. And I left there. I feel like I'm forgetting things in San Francisco, but whatever. Sorry.
It's all
like
good.
I didn't really like hang out with people there, like do like long, like bar hopping with people there.
Yeah.
Because I was just so exhausted.
I imagine.
I was gonna plan on doing what I was doing in Portland, just to meet up with people and just like hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would talk to people at like comedy clubs and bars afterwards and stuff like that. And then like I was doing Uber pools, which I didn't realize I had that set to pool.
Oh yeah, it's cheaper.
Yeah, so I didn't even realize I did
cheaper.
It. And like. I even talked to the people in the Uber pools how I would at the bar.
I bet you did.
I really loved it.
All
I
these
just
strangers
could not stop talking about like the bike and my adventure, and I had like I guess this energy because I would have a shower and I'd be like excited to go to this new comedy club that I've never been to.
Anthony, this is why you and I have to go on a trip.
I know. I think
because we're the same way.
We would rock out cities like nobody else.
Holy crap, it'd be amazing. Because it'd be like when we went to the Kentucky Derby. Right? And everybody was just kind of sitting there.
Oh, yeah, we walked around,
We walked around the whole thing. We came back, and it's like, oh, hey, let's walk around again. So we walked around.
Wrestler mask, or whatever you call it.
I don't remember.
Mexican
wrestling. Yeah, just like a bunch of random people getting photos with everything. And So that has to happen. So we need to pick out a city and do it
Okay.
sometime.
I mean, I have no more vacation days. Well,
We can do a weekend trip.
yeah.
Like the thing I did with
3 left
Chicago.
or something.
Like, I didn't use any vacation days for Chicago.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
Knock that out again.
Chicago's nice.
See what happens. But
yeah, we'll see what happens.
anyway, like, after all that happened, like, how do you feel now? Now that you're back?
Well, I went to Santa Cruz real quick. It
Okay.
Was,
Okay, I got you.
It was kind of overcast. This was the only day out of all the days that it was kind of like nasty out. It didn't rain, but it was just sun wasn't out, so I went to downtown Santa Cruz with the shops. There was interesting bars there. Saw a live band there. Was interesting. Had like the sideways drum as the main singer's instrument.
Oh, that's cool.
Rode back at night. That was a little. Should probably maybe not have done that, but it was a little because it was a 20-minute bike ride back, and at night after.
Dude, I wonder what districts you went to too, because it can get sketch in San Francisco.
No, this is Santa Cruz.
Oh, my mistake.
Santa Cruz was way less sketch.
Oh, was
than
it? Okay,
all the
that's good.
cities. So
All
I
right,
didn't
well,
really
that's good.
feel like I was gonna get jumped or anything at night, but it was just like no one was out.
Right.
I mean, people were out downtown Santa Cruz, but when I drove or rode my bike to my Airbnb, it was like everybody was asleep because it was like a neighborhood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I get there. Next day I go to the boardwalk. I bike around up the coast to the Natural Bridge thing on the way down. This hippie surfer dude overheard a conversation with these people, and he said,
"Oh, we got to talk about the hippie surfer."
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Well, so okay, yeah. So to preface that is, I was supposed to give the bike to a guy on Reddit that showed extreme interest.
Yeah.
And the day of, I was messaging him. I messaged him a total of 3 times, I think, throughout the day, and he didn't respond. So I was like, now he's flaking on me. And I didn't really set up a backup because I didn't want to, like, promise it to a ton of people.
Yeah.
Because there was, like, a handful of people. Anyways.
Yeah, so we were just riding on this
So
guy,
I was like, shoot. And then I remember Googling a bike shop there. It was called the Bike Church or something like that. And it was a non-profit bike shop. So I was like, oh, I'll give it to him for free and tell him to give it to a good home. So as I'm talking to this couple, as I'm taking a photo of the boardwalk from afar, and this surfer dude on his hood of his, like, 1980s Volkswagen car that I do not even know the model of.
Dude was just chilling there?
On it. He's chilling there with, like, a brand new laptop, but he looks total surfer. And he's got, like, this. You saw the photo. He has, like a couch thing that's like meant for like sitting on a car.
Yeah, it looks like he took the cushions off of a couch and put it on the front of his car.
Right, and he was that's what he does.
He was just chilling on it.
So apparently he overheard me talking about my trip to these people, which naturally I know it sounds like I just go up to people. I'm like, I'm on a solo trip. I promise you that's not.
I'm sure it came up naturally.
I don't know how it was just in different ways. Whatever.
Dude, you were just feeling it. You were in your element.
I was in my
You were feeling the vibes.
I was feeling.
And when you're like, when you put off those kind of when you put off that aura,
it was like a positive. Like
people are attracted by that. They want to talk to you.
I totally agree with you. It has to be because I was thinking about that on the plane ride home. I'm like, man, like it was so easy after a while just to like spark up conversation. But I must have been given, like you said, like a positive, like,
plus you're
whatever.
excited,
and people were like approaching me. I was approaching them. Yeah, and I was excited all the time. And so, dude said, I stopped talking with these couple. They biked on, and he was like, from like my left, he was like, I wouldn't chain that to Bike Church. And I was like, what?
What?
He's like, that'll get ripped off quicker than whatever. He said some phrase, and I was like, oh really? So then him and I chatted for a while, and then I told him my story. He overheard most of it, but. Yeah. And I was going to offer to him, but he didn't seem like he was interested. And so then I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? Then I was like, maybe I'll just give it to Airbnb people because they had like 2 bikes there for people to use, like beach cruisers.
Okay.
Single geared things. And I was like, well, they seem like hippy dippy people, kind of cool, real chill. Yeah. And I'll just leave it there. Hope they don't get mad because it's not like I'm like leaving trash there. Like, I left a crappy bike. But it's actually a nice bike. But so that was my backup plan, and then I met up with Heather, a longtime friend from Sacramento, and we hadn't seen each other for 11 years. So she flew into Columbus back when I was in my senior year, my last year at Ohio State, and we had like a nice weekend together. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, so it was really neat. She brought her kids because I don't think they'd seen Santa Cruz. I don't know. Yeah, so they loved it.
Did she listen to the podcast?
I believe she does. I'm not sure exactly, but shout out to Heather.
Well, if you do, hey, how's it going? I'm Austin. Nice to meet you.
So I knew we were meeting up because we had talked before, and the bike thing was falling through. So I was like, crap, I guess I'll just leave it at the whatever. Because I'm going to be on the boardwalk, and I'm meeting up with Heather and her kids, and that's just how that's going to go. You know, like I'm not going to obviously bike around to find someone.
Yeah.
So I chained the bike up and waited for them because there was a bunch of traffic at this bar right off the boardwalk and right on the boardwalk and the pier. And I talked with these lovely ladies that were from Pennsylvania. One was from Pennsylvania, and it was just great. We're Facebook friends.
Okay.
So it was a good conversation. She's like convincing me to like go out and like move cities and like Santa Cruz especially, and like maybe work in San Jose and things like that. And I really like enjoyed the conversation. You know, she was very like informative and just all around just real helpful and real positive. And she was
nice. I
could tell she was just an awesome person.
Oh, okay.
And I had an excellent conversation with her. I have a photo with her too. So,
fantastic.
But for some, like I had to like connect Facebook. Like some people, I just wanted to connect Facebook.
Yeah, you
like,
don't want
to. I didn't want
to.
it to like, and you know, I was like, this is too. Like we had too awesome of a conversation.
I know exactly what you mean.
And so yeah, and then once you're in a conversation like that, people usually are not like, no, I'm not going to do that. You're weird. You know, like we already kind of know each other. Like she knew where I was from and kind of like the gist of what I was doing.
Yeah, you connected.
My brief history, like kind of deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she was just an awesome lady. So, and then I met up with Heather and her awesome kids, and we had just a great time on the boardwalk playing games, riding rides, and it was actually a beautiful day.
Perfect.
The sun was setting, you know, the nice pinkish orangish sunset and whatever. It was just great.
Wow.
And yeah, I went on the beach in the evening and then towards the night, and then she drove my bike back to the Airbnb, and on the way back to Airbnb, I was like she could tell, I think, that I was kind of not stressed, but concerned about the bike. Like I didn't know, like this wasn't the plan.
You were like emotionally attached to this bike.
Yeah,
by this
I knew
point.
Like this
bike was a member of your family.
Oh yeah, and I knew this would happen. The moment I got it in Seattle, I was like, I'm gonna get attached to this bike. I know I'm gonna get attached to this bike. I know I'm gonna want to ship it home, but I don't want to. You know, I want to find a new adventure for him.
You got to perpetuate this adventure.
Yeah, but I really felt like it would be really neat to just keep passing along.
I'm getting really sad thinking about you giving up this bike now.
Well, okay.
It's like a friend.
The bike endures. So
tell me about the bike.
So Heather mentioned, why don't I take the bike back to Sacramento with me, and I can either keep it in long-term storage or ship it to you if you really want me to. And that instantly like lifted my mood about the bike. Anyways, I was already in a good mood just hanging out with him, but that like took away that like stress, I guess. I was like really concerned. It was like my baby. And so yeah, so man, dropped me off, and yeah, the bike went on along its way, and
you waved goodbye from the distance.
Yeah, we said our goodbyes.
I'm not
and
sure, guy,
so we hadn't seen each other. Yeah, well, not really the bike at that point, but yeah, because we hadn't seen each other in like 11 years. So
obviously that's more important than the bike.
Yeah. So yeah, so they left. I didn't really think about the bike that night at all, really. It was just more, you know, because humans are obviously more important, you know, like. And it was my last night there, and I knew I had to get up really early for the plane and things like that.
Dude,
so
you must have been just like a sea of emotions at that point.
Yeah, it was a big swirl. I don't.
Like,
I'm
how do you
still
even process
processing
all
it.
this? Yeah.
So that, especially that part. So yeah. So I went to bed, got 4 hours of sleep, and woke up, and then the bike thing didn't really hit me until I had to put up the back seats from the trunk. Because I opened the trunk to put my suitcase in, the back seats are down, and the bike wasn't there, and I didn't have the bike to put it in there. And I like stared at that void, and I was like, it was a very sharp sadness. Like it wasn't like, it was one of the quickest and sharpest to come up that I can remember.
Man, I can feel it.
Yeah, that's the only way I can describe it, quick and sharp. It was just like instant, and I was like,
look in the
like
trunk,
it took
and
the
it's
breath
gone.
out of me. I just stared at it for a second.
Oh man, like it's over now.
That it was like the little exclamation part at the, at the end of the sentence or the period. It was just like, that's what said this was the end of the trip.
Dang,
was looking at that empty trunk.
That's like freaking so poetic.
I mean, I was so used to just next city. Let's take the bike apart, put it in there.
Dang.
I was just, oh man, I was really sad. So as I was leaving, I was really sad for a multitude of reasons. But then, like, I started thinking, like, okay, like, I know I can't just be sad, you know, that this can't be the end of whatever. So I just realized that I'm so sad because I had such a good time. You know, this was so
great way to look at it.
Awesome. And it still didn't take away, you know, all of it. But it was like, you know what, that's the only way I really should and can look at this is, like, because it was a while. And I was just, like, you know, and I was tired. And it was, like, dark out because it was super early in the morning because my plane was leaving. And I kept getting mixed things from American Airlines. It was like, your plane's leaving at 6. No, it's leaving at 8 in the morning. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be there early.
Yep.
So, yeah, I got breakfast and went on the flight.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. So now that you've, like, whenever I go on a vacation, usually I come back motivated and with a new outlook on the life that I'm in right now.
Okay.
So, and I kind of feel uplifted, but at the same time, kind of disgruntled.
Really?
Because I always feel like I could be doing something else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It gives me this different outlook, and I talked about this when I talked about Canada a lot. Like,
oh, right. Yeah,
it gave me a
came
chance
back with a different outlook. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So they always give me a chance to look at my life from the outside in and kind of assess it, right?
Right.
So do you feel like? I mean, it seems like. Do you still feel the melancholy that you felt at the end of the trip, or do you feel uplifted, or do you feel inspired?
No,
like, what are the big emotions that you're feeling right now after coming back from this?
It's still lingering, and I want to write about it. Like, I was gonna write like a blog per. I was like, I'm gonna have to write a blog per city. Then I was like, no, that's ridiculous.
That would take a long time.
Who's gonna read a blog per city? Like,
right.
Like, I would read it myself.
Yeah.
In the future, and
I mean, that might be worth it.
And I have like writings of each city and notes.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no way I'm going to write.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to split it in two, but I feel like I have to write about it, even though, like, talking about it here was real, because this is the first time I talked about this from start to finish.
Ad nauseum,
in such a, which is all, thank you for letting me bogart this
this
entire
is important.
podcast.
This is very important.
Because this feels really good actually talking about it, because I hadn't really thought about it from start to finish again, because I was going to do that as I wrote. And, I still don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm mainly doing it for myself. If people read it, I'm still going to link on Facebook, but I really don't care if people, like, having the blog online just makes me write better, and I like that push, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, so I'm continuing doing that. So I definitely have to write about it, but yeah, like you said, the melancholy, my first night back was that Sunday, and I was like, I don't know, I cannot write with this, like, sadness.
Yeah.
You know, because the trip is so happy.
Yeah, because then you'll look back on the whole trip and think that you had like a really sad time the whole time or something.
In this veil, yeah. I didn't want to like write in this veil of sadness.
Yeah,
and,
you don't want that, yeah.
And it wasn't like the trip was sad, I was just missing it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now it's Tuesday, so it's been about day and a half.
Let's say 2.5 days.
Yeah, 2.5 days.
Kinda.
And it still lingers, but I think I'm, now that I'm back in the swing of things at work, now I'm actually afraid that I'm going to lose my feelings of the trip.
Dude.
Because, like, I can obviously write about this 2 months from now, but I'm not going to have that core, like, from the gut type feelings that only can come organically.
Yes, agreed.
So.
That wears off over time.
It does.
It does wash away.
And I can start to feel it a little bit, so it has me worried. So I'm definitely going to start writing this week. And I think I'm just going to write it almost as if, kind of like how I just said it here. So touch upon things, not talk about every single person I got a selfie with, but
yeah,
just general vibes and emotions and what I felt per city, I think is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And keep it kind of shorter. I hope it doesn't go to 2 parts, but we'll see.
Well, if it does, like, that's what it takes to get it all out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, to capture the because I feel like that's what you're trying to accomplish, is to capture kind of the emotions and the mental realizations that you experienced on the trip.
Right.
Like, and maybe not necessarily like it's cool to remember all the little details.
Yeah.
But as long as you remember kind of the mental progress that you made, I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lots of positive stuff. People are good.
Yeah.
People are good.
Yeah.
It was really, insightful and, restore faith in humanity a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I was like,
yeah, you weren't like a downer on humanity,
the street,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, but it was still like it was just so refreshing to see the kindness of people and how helpful people were, and just how awesome everybody was.
And those are the things
really
I think are the great things to take away.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Well, dang, dude. Yeah,
Oh.
you've really got me hyped to like take another adventure myself too. Because like, okay, so last question I have. So when you're on when I'm on vacation, I feel like, and I feel like a lot of people, most people are probably like this. A different person. They feel like a different person because they're able to be around people that they aren't around ever, and that they're just meeting, so they have a chance to reinvent themselves and be kind of like this different person that's different from the person that they are on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So when I go and do that, I come back with a feeling that the life that I live usually might be a skewed version of myself that's kind of impurified by the masks that I have to wear because of my daily responsibilities.
I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I mean? Like, so...
Because when you know, like, people aren't around, and then people you know, like, you don't have to have those masks on. Like you're saying, when you're far away.
And there's no risk, and you have no, like, reason to, like, be anything but yourself. Like, so do you come back...
That's true. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So do you come back feeling like you discovered who you are? Or do you feel like you were just kind of getting out almost like these fantasies that you usually have? Like just getting them out and you're now back to be your normal self.
Honestly, I crave adventure, and I just wanted adventure. And I knew the building blocks of this trip was would build a fertile... How can I put this? Like, I knew, like, just not staying at hotels and not ever planning on eating at chains and just relying on what people say. Like,
like the way that you've laid this trip out, cultivated.
Exactly, cultivated is the best word. Okay. So, like, I kind of... Things always don't go to plan. You can't just plan adventure. Like, we're just going to be... I mean, sometimes you can.
Sure.
But I think, just with the hostels and weird AirBnBs, and it just felt fertile for just adventure. Like, things would happen, and it turned out like that, and just random people. But I totally see what you're saying with the mask things. Like, I think it's a subconscious thing with me. Like, I never felt like I was a newfound self out there.
Yeah.
And there was the trip was never meant to find anything, really. Like, I wasn't... If it happens, it happens. You can't force upon realization. It just happens.
Very true.
And so there was no real epiphany, except for, just my love for adventure and urban biking, definitely.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't... on the surface, I can see how people can see that. Even people out there were wondering that. They would ask that. They're like, so what are you trying to find out here? Like, are you trying to, they would ask it not in like a odd way. They were just curious.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm just kind of out here just
adventuring, yeah.
Yeah, whatever happens.
Right, yeah. I know what you mean.
But I can see on the surface how it could be viewed like that, but really deep down, like, it was never really meant to find it,
Yeah.
Again, like, I always knew, like, something like that could happen.
Yeah.
But I'm still processing it. So
that's true.
there could be things hidden in there that I don't. But there was no, like, I was on the edge of a cliff and looking out, and the seagull was like, ah. I was like, ah. I was like, oh my God, the seagull was right. My life has just been a sham. No. So there was none of... none
I see
that
what you
I can
mean.
draw from. There was a lot of different ups and downs, and, like, just crazy things happening, and, like, the sad thing on the bridge, and just the contrast of, like,
I get you.
Eating in, like, dive bars and fancy restaurants and organic farms and hostels. Yeah. Like, it's just... I'm never going to forget this trip. This has been... My mom asked me, she picked me up from the airport, how do you like it? And I think, and I clutched, I held back because I didn't want to, like, because we've gone on a lot of good trips as a family and stuff like that. And I hesitated, and I was like, no, I think this is my favorite trip ever. And she was like, that's all, she was, like, real positive with it. But I felt like I didn't want to, like, take away, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
But I really, because it was something I've wanted to do. I've never seen the West Coast. It was a ton of firsts. It reinvigorated, like, past loves of urban biking, and, like, saw old good friends, met new good ones. It's just, I can't even really express how, like, awesome of a trip this was. Like, it was just really awesome.
God.
Like, I really had, it was just awesome.
It sounds like it was.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was, I just loved it.
Well, thank you for recounting your trip.
Yeah, thanks for letting me bogart this entire
No,
podcast.
this is great. I think this was fantastic. Thanks to everyone that stuck through this. I hope you enjoyed it for the, what are we going on, like an hour and 45 minutes right now?
Oh, my God, are you serious?
No, but this is, I mean, like, if it goes longer than usual, like, but it's natural, like, there's no reason to stop it, right?
No, and I appreciate,
We have no rules here.
We
make our own rules here at the People
I wasn't really
expecting
it that deep, but it was kind of hard not to,
No, definitely.
And it actually feels really good to actually talk how
I'm sure it was cathartic.
I was talking about it. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Anthony. If you like this episode, God, it feels so just, I don't even know how to, I'm so like,
this is awesome. Yeah,
I'm so like hit emotionally by this trip. Just listening, it makes me want to go adventure and like.
Now I feel like writing.
Now
I'm just I want to write now.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna play video games after this, honestly.
Yeah, well, I actually feel much more positive now talking about it.
Good,
this is
cool.
Really cool.
Well,
I mean,
it
was a positive trip. Yeah.
Yes. So if you enjoyed this episode 15 of the P Funk and Fro Show, thank you for listening. We really, truly appreciate it. We want to have more guests on here, so if you have any idea of people that could be great guests, if you know somebody that owns a business or someone that's built themselves up from nothing or something that you think...
Or you yourself.
If you think you have an interesting story to tell, we'd love to have you on here. You can listen every week. We put our stuff up on iTunes, Google Play, and any Android app service that you can find. We're on there. We go up every Friday, so check it out. You'll see the posts on Facebook, and make sure to join the Facebook group if you like it. Facebook.com/group/pfunkandfro, and follow us on Twitter. If you start following us, we'll start tweeting at pfunkandfro. Thank you for listening once again, and we'll see you folks next week.
Austin, you are a pro.
God, thanks, Anthony. Hey guys, this is Austin. In this podcast, I accidentally referred to it as episode 15. It is actually episode 16. I hope this doesn't change your opinion of me as a human being or negatively affect your opinion of the show. I'll probably do better next time, I assume. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the podcast.